Now we go with Ziad. Ziad says, "Hi Abe, I'm posting here for the first time and wanted to share a character I created while following your hand-painted course. The depth and clarity of your teaching made a huge difference in my workflow and understanding. I really value your honest feedback on this piece as it will help me improve moving forward." Awesome. Let's take a look. Nice, nice. This is great, man. This is Braum, right? Yeah, Ruin King League of Legends Braum. Good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay, nice. Okay. UBs seem a little bit messy. I understand that the shield has a lot of little pieces. This is good. I like this optimization right there. Yep. Yeah, it has a lot of pieces, so maybe it's because of that. Nice, nice. Okay, let me take this into Photoshop real quick. So there's a couple of things that I see here that can definitely be improved. This is a great one, by the way. Like, I'm gonna be nitpicking, and hopefully I'm gonna, of course, be helping you with your journey. First of all, the sharpness of the angles. What do I mean by this? As you can see, we have a lot of pieces, especially this one's right here. All of these angles, some of this like sculpting elements that look wobbly, right? Like that piece right there. What I would like to see, it's a little bit of a sharper look here. Like it needs to be looking way more pointy. And this is something that you need to control on the sculpting stages, because I saw here, you showed a little bit of the sculpting here on the shield. Let me copy this real quick. And I can tell that this is something that's coming from the sculpting section, right? So for instance, some of this guys right here, like this chunky guy right here, I would like to see this, again, a little bit sharper, because sharp angles, especially again in League of Legends, World of Warcraft, they tend to be a lot more prominent. So you need to be very careful on how we control this. My advice, I know that these are supposed to be tentacles, but my advice would be, if you find it easier to model this inside of Maya, like I did with the beard on the Undead Captain, do it on Maya, because having a sharper silhouette, a stronger silhouette, is definitely going to help you in the long run for this kind of elements. Like look at this. Like I like this corner right here, but then we have this very like wobbly weird corner here. I would just keep the same sort of like graphic language. I need to take a look at the concept and see if it matches, right? But that's the kind of stuff that can help you with the retopology process as well later on. Now, in terms of the hand-painted thing, I do see I don't want to say like big mistake or like big intense thing, but we do need to do a little bit more blending. I feel like it looks very painterly. So as you can see right here, if we take a look at this value, we're at 94, and then we take a look at this value, we're at 88, and then we take a look at this value, we're at 77. So we're moving like quite fast from one value to another. And usually, again, in this kind of like games, you're gonna have something that's a little bit softer. So let me go here. There we go. So I'm gonna grab, for instance, this mid value right there, and just with a soft brush, as you can see, I'm grabbing like the mid tone, and I'm just gonna blend things a little bit. Maybe this was an artistic like decision of yours, like you wanted to make things look a little bit more painterly. I feel like it might be working a little bit against you, and just cleaning up this a little bit might benefit you. So soft brushes are really good for this particular stage of the process, where we can blend this kind of stuff. Again, especially for instance here on the what's the name of this muscle, sternocleidomastoideus muscle, it just looks a little bit too intense, right? Like too bright compared to everything else. So we need to sort of like blend things a little bit. Can you really achieve good quality hand-painted textures instead of Substance Painter, or do you really need to do it? No, you can do it in Substance Painter. The reason, and this is a question that I get asked very often, the reason why I like 3D Code so much is because we have two very important things. We have a feel, like the feel of the brush, to me, feels closer to what I'm doing here inside of Photoshop. And we have a bridge that we can jump very quickly from 3D Code to Photoshop and do things in Photoshop and then bring them back to 3D Code. So that's another like important aspect, right? Now, another thing that I'm noticing on the skin, and this is very important. Oh, this is going to be such a good lesson, guys. If you guys are interested in color theory, buckle up, because this is going to be so cool. I want you to look at this part right here. Let me make that bigger so that everyone can see. I want you to look at the color. Look at this guy right here. What is that? What does that represent? Does anyone know what the external circle represents on this color picker? That's a basic question, but I want to make sure everyone is on the same page. What does the outer ring represent on this thing right here, on the outer side of the color picker? This right here, I'm going to give you a hint. This right here is, of course, the brightness. You can see if I move this thing up and down, that's brightness. This right here is saturation. That's right. This is hue. What is hue? Hue is which color we're using. Are we using red? Are we using yellow? Are we using green or whatever? Well, if I sample this, look at where this thing is. And then I sample this, look at where this thing is. And then I sample this, look at where this thing is. All of these elements, like I want you to see all of the hues that we have right there. They're very close together, right? Very, 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 very close together. When we are doing any type of painting and we keep all of the hues very close together, things look flat, okay? They will look flat. So one advice that I always give my students, and we do talk about this on the Pirate course, is let's think about what kind of light are we getting. Maybe we're getting like a very sort of like normal light. I'm going to use like a purplish, bluish hue right here, not super saturated, something like this. And let's incorporate a little bit of that in the shadows right there, okay? On the character, like in the shadows of the character. Of course, this one I'm going to set to something like, I don't know, like an overlay. There you go. See that right there? That's a little bit too intense right now. Maybe overlay. Let's try color, and then I'm going to lower the opacity. A little bit more. There we go. So if we incorporate a little bit of this like pinkish hue, we're going to give the whole thing a lot more visual interest. Maybe that's a little bit too purple. I'm going to go a little bit more towards the blues. And we're doing all of this in a different layer, right? So that we can control it. We don't need to change it too much. As you can see right here, we're not going to change it too much, but we want to change it enough so that we give the whole thing a little bit more of an interesting look, so that it doesn't look as monotone. So yeah, we're going a little bit into the complementary colors, not necessarily complementary. It's just like changing things. Now, skin has another very important thing, and this is not super advanced, but you gotta we gotta like talk about this. The skin tends to get saturated when the core shadow hits. For those of you that don't know, when we have, for instance, a sphere and light is hitting the sphere, we're gonna have the highlight, and we're gonna have this thing called the core shadow. The core shadow matches the direction of the shadow. Right there on the core shadow, skin gets very saturated. So right now, I'm not seeing that. Again, if I take a look at saturation is pretty much uniform across this whole thing. So what I can do is I'm gonna grab like a soft brush right here. I'm going to go for like a red channel, and I'm going to add a red color on the core shadow where I see this thing sort of like hitting or becoming a shadow. There. And then I'm going to set this to something like linear dodge. See that? Look at that difference. Right? Which skin looks more alive? This one right here or this one right here? Of course, the one with the red color, right? Because it gives us that like extra little saturation on the transition from the light planes to the dark planes. That's what we need to do. And this is one of those like tricks that you can do very, very easily to just like make your character sort of like pop a little bit more. Every part where you have a little bit of that like transition, where you're going from the core shadow to the from the light to the shadow, if we add a little bit of that like red color, everything's gonna look a little bit more illuminated, right? And it's gonna make the skin look more natural. It's gonna like we're rendering the skin. We're telling the element this should be looking like skin. So that little trick right there, just like a highlight, like an intense red color on the transition from the shadows to the light prints. It's a really, really good way to make your skin look more alive. Look at the difference there, guys. That's without that pass, and that's with the little red pass. Am I crazy, or can you guys tell the difference there with the little sort of like a rendering of the skin? It looks like we're like, this is pretty much us painting the surface scattering like pass on the character. So that would be my advice for you, my friend. Again, this is a really nice piece, Ziad, and I'm glad that you were able to follow. He was following, by the way, this one right here, the hand painted 3D character for games course. And he, of course, took his own concept and did this. That's the thing that I would recommend. Smooth things out a little bit. Like, make sure that your brush strokes are not as intense, unless that's, again, the direction that you want to go for. And especially on the rendering of the skin, let's add a little bit of that sort of like skin rendering so that it really looks like he's alive, right? Like, it's not just like a monotone like color for the whole thing. So yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Great stuff. Now, if you want to be focusing on hand painted stuff, which I feel like it's gonna be your like this is what you want to go for now, we need more pieces, right? We need more of these characters, like full characters like this, because that's what's gonna make your portfolio like really really look great.